Alright, guys, so have you guys ever seen that one obsessive stepsister that that loves you more than just like a sibling type of love, but is rather more like a relationship type? Well, look no further because we have Imouto wa Gal Kawaii Part 1. And this one was made by none other than one of the greatest animators themselves, Mary Jane. And not gonna lie, the animation was actually pretty clean. And not gonna lie, this was actually one of the least vanilla incest type of anime that I've done in a while because there's like some kind of complex. There's always that one sister that has like a brother complex. And yeah, so we're just gonna go to the first scene because I'm gonna do this like in parts because there is not like two episodes or three. This is just the first episode. Now, I would hope that there would be an episode 2 because I want to know where this would actually lead to. If it's gonna be like the previous one that I did where the brother was being treated friendly by the other females and the one's obsessive stepsister did not like that. She was looking at them like if it was like harpies and stuff. Yeah, that it's nothing like this. But if in episode 2 it leads to something like that where she becomes obsessed, that would be one hell of a plot twist, not gonna lie. So without further ado, let's get right to the first scene. Alright, so in this very first part of the scene is where they're like talking in class and she's talking to her friend about how dreadful the exam was, but they're asking each other what to eat and she comes up to her like stepbrother. I'm assuming in this one, I'm kind of assuming that he's the elderly one because the way, and I'm gonna spoil it for this one. She says Oni-sama. Now, if you guys can correct me in the comments, usually Oni-sama means like the older one, like the one who like they would look up to or would listen to. So she's telling him about this secret that they're living together and they're living like this relationship. This is all in her head, mind you, which was crazy, by the way. And he was like a bit taken aback by this. But, he reluctantly agreed that they would be seeing each other at home. So anyways, I think this first part was like given like a bit of a red flaggish because she was given like obsessiveness and a bit of possessiveness. But anyways, let's get right into the second one because trust me, it's gonna get wild from here. So without further ado, let's get to the second scene. Alright, so in this second scene here, as you guys can see, they're like having some brother-sister bonding time, they're watching TV and they're like watching some kind of show. And of course, she is talking about the character looking so cute and of course like he goes on top of the chair. Well, actually, he's sitting there just listening to her and she just suddenly jumps up to the seat right next to him, hip to hip, and they're like feeling each other and she is like, well, listen, I'm only doing this because I love you. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird, but I digress, We're talking about a sister who was a brother complex, mind y'all. It's not like we have not seen it in anime, especially in the ecchi world for some reason. It's always some kind of brother-sister complex. And even in the most friendliest one, like Baka and Tess, like the older sister has like this crush on her brother, and he's the stupidest motherfucker. But anyways, that'll be for another video. Anyways, so that second scene right there shows that there's some kind of build up. So anyways, without further ado, let's get to the third scene, and I believe this is like the final scene because trust me, this might be wild. Right, so in this scene, this happened after like she went to the toilet to pee and the brother showed up out of nowhere and they were doing it right there and then. And mind y'all, the mom was like, is everything okay in there? And she's like, yes, fine, it had a little bug and the brother killed it. And that was crazy. And they ended up like, well, I wouldn't say they ended up going all the way. They went partially because, of course, she ended up giving him a BJ. And then in the next scene, the next day, she tells him, well, listen, I'm sorry, but things happen, and she was partly at fault for enabling it, so it won't happen again. Now this is where it gets even like weirdly interesting. So she tells him, listen, I'm gonna go to the school, to the nursery, and you're gonna come accompany me for the rest of the day. And he agrees. Well, he seems a bit terrified. And she's like, well, well, they will become one. And this is where I figured out, okay, so maybe this one, she looks like the older sister, but for some reason it looks like, since she called it Onisama, it means like probably he's the older one. So they ended up going into like this study session, because she clearly declares him as like the smart one, and she just look, not gonna lie to y'all, she looks so damn carefree. Like, she don't even care if Thursday landed on a Sunday. That's how carefree she is. She's like one of those gals. She's one of those carefree gals. I mean, won't say like a gyaru, but she just seems so carefree. That's wild. And then she tells him, well, listen, Shindou, which apparently her brother name is, she's like, wow, she's in love with him, and she's embarrassed by this, and she's flustered. And then of course, bro climb up on top of her and started beating them cheeks. And I was like, well, damn. Bro didn't even hesitate. Bro didn't even think about it. He was like, you know what? She tells me she tells me she loves me. I'ma love her back. And they did it. Yeah, they ended up doing it. And mind you, in the last episode, and I'm not gonna put this one in the video because I don't want you to be striking me down. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, the next day after they're doing it, she ended up waking him up with a BJ. Yes, and she tells him, so this is what his meat tastes like. And I was like, damn, that is crazy, not gonna lie. So anyways, that is it for this first episode. And this was kind of interesting to say the least, because again, Mary Jane made the animation, which makes a lot of sense, because of course it's Mary Jane. Mary Jane has been making some bangers lately. So yeah, and I was actually having a discussion in my comment section with one of my subs, and he was trying to figure out, well, he or she, well, I would say he, because he was trying to figure out who was the older one, because we was discussing this, right? And I was like, well, maybe I would do a video on this just to figure out. I'll watch it first, and then I'm gonna talk about it, and then give my honest thoughts on this. And to be honest, yeah, I guess I learned that the brother Shindou is the older one, because again, based off the fact that she calls him Onisama. Now, my Japanese people, my Japanese fellow men and fellow women of culture, if you guys can comment in the section and correct me if I'm wrong. And I know Oni-chan is brother, Oni-san is sister, but Onisama is it like an elderly, like a person who's older than them, or like it has like senpai, because we know senpai is like the senior, and we have kuhai, which is the junior. So is Onisama like another term for a person who's older than the other individual, whether it's man or woman? So if you guys can let me know in the comments, that will be greatly appreciated. And anyways, to rate it, and if I'm gonna give an honest rating, I would rate it a solid 7, because one, there was some character build-up. 2, the animation was amazing. And 3, there was some feelings involved. Again, all about character build-up, and the character development was good. It may not be like the best, but it was definitely great, because despite it being censored, again, it was pretty good. Mind you, I believe this episode lasted like almost 20 minutes. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the video, guys. So let me know what you guys think. What was your favorite scene? What was your favorite erotic scene, and what was your least favorite part of it? I think my if I have to choose, my favorite scene is where the sister was actually kind of talking to him like in a demanding tone, despite she's trying to sound like the older one, and he agreed reluctantly at first when he was sweeping on the stairs. Yeah, it turns out he's the older one. But anyways, that was just my final thoughts on this, and I'm actually working on part 2 of the last video that I just made, and trust me, it's gonna be a lot worse and a lot more wild than the first one I made, and than the first 3 episodes. And I'm hearing a rumor apparently that Sakusei Byoto is actually making a final episode, and this episode may last up to like 40 minutes because the previous episodes was like all 25 to 35 minutes per episode, mind you. And I can't wait. And I was actually going through my Facebook page and I saw like a screenshot of the cover of episode 10, which is the psychopathic boss short bitch. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll let you guys know, because I'm actually doing some research on it and find out when is the release date of that animation, because I would really like to see how this ends with poor Yamada. Oh my goodness, I feel bad for homie, because after episode 4 they just wanted to suck this man dry, literally and figuratively, mind you. So yeah, those are just my like mini updates on the situation. And I'm sorry I haven't posted in a while. I have been like literally busy for the past few weeks, and I've been doing some projects, and I've been coming up with that I've been coming up with. And yeah, so oh, and by the way, I may start like selling membership cards like Netflix and also PSN, Steam, I believe also Roblox and V-Bucks and stuff like, yeah, you know the rest. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook. And yeah, we're very close to 800 subscribers, people. I am so happy that I was able to provide this type of content. I mean, not many people can provide it, but hey, at least I'm one of the few who actually can come up to a thousand subs by hopefully by the end of July or close to August. We can gather up to on the road to 1,000 subs. But anyways, again, I really enjoy the support. It's really crazy that we reached this far. And I really, if because I've seen like almost 95% of y'all that have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and make sure to hit that notification bell. So anyways, thank you so much. Have a good one and peace out.